All right. What is going on at my desk? Well, it's about time that I start a new Shadowdark campaign, and for those that know, they know. I was making a card for myself for my difficulty classes that I keep forgetting to roll for, so I just made a card for it instead. But yes, welcome back, everybody. I'm gonna be, I'm gonna be doing. I'm so used to flipping around this way for the reverse binding for Vaults of Varn, but Shadowdark. I wanted to create some new characters, and while I'm cleaning up my space and all that jazz, I will explain where we're going to be starting and all that fun stuff. So, first things first, I am going to be. I have already created two characters, based in the region of the Perilous Badlands. And we're actually going to be starting our adventure in somewhat of a desert area. And I thought that was awesome because I'm a big fan, as some of you might have already known, of Dark Sun, and I might delve into utilizing some of these rules within the Shadow Sun supplement for Shadowdark. I skimmed through most of the book by now, but the writing design by Greg Christopher, sorry about that. This is a phenomenal tome. So I might use some of these things. I may not. I definitely will use it for inspiration for sure. One of these days, I will play a solo campaign exclusively with this book. But I still wanted to kind of sink my teeth into more of the Shadowdark core experience. But I will be utilizing this book for inspiration for sure. Especially the treasures and the scrolls and stuff like that. Maybe some of the items we will see. Maybe some of what are these things called? The things that are in front of me, monsters. So I might be using some of these as well. But Shadowdark Solo campaign 2. Hopefully it'll last a little bit longer than the previous one. All right, so we will be starting off in Hex 93, which is a desert, an unsafe desert hex. And as a reminder, all of these hexes that I had created are a 6-mile hex or a 10 kilometer hex. They take about 4 hours to walk across. And if there's like different kinds of terrain, that will modify that. But we have the Forsaken Dunes of the Perilous Badlands, way off in the corner here, and I haven't really fully decided what is going to be bordering this region, for the sake of gameplay and everything. I think I just might make the expansive the Flaming Sands just kind of go off into the into the southwest here, where it just gets hotter and hotter the further out you go. I haven't quite figured out how to do that narratively. I just think that, you know, maybe for every time that you spend going beyond the map, you might take like 2d6 fire damage or something like that. I don't really know. But this you know, 3 hex little island, if you will, is nothing but dunes and sand. And then it is surrounded by this massive, but large body of water. And I don't know if I had explained fully what this all was, but this is a map that I had fully generated using just the core rules and the tables for Shadowdark. So you too can create your own hex map, like, you know, those seen in the Cursed Scroll zines. I actually really enjoy making maps, and I decided I'd make this one, and then I'm going to use it as my story seeds for all of my campaigns. So that's what I'm doing. There is also a village on this hex, the village of Vorn, which I don't know if I can show it well on the video here, but it's a village, so it only has 3 major areas, 2 slums and a low district. I haven't really decided what to name all these districts and stuff, but for the sake of the game, that will probably come out during emergent storytelling. There are a few places of interest that will come up during the game and stuff like that. So we have our location set up. Oops, I gotta put my 93. We have our location and our village set up to start the next campaign within the Perilous Badlands. And then I needed to decide what characters to use for my next play sessions. And I wanted to include one of the Cursed Scrolls, so I rolled a 1d3 and I rolled a 2. And this roll, in fact, kind of helped me decide that I wanted to start off in that southwest corner in that sands area. So, and I like this a lot because it has, desert stuff. It is kind of the official low-key, a desert magic type of things in here. So I decided to create a pit fighter, an underdog level 1 pit fighter by the name of Morgan. He, again, I haven't really fully fleshed out his full sort of, his backstory per se, but his background was that he was banished, cast out for supposed crimes. And I just wrote a little note for myself, is this true? And I haven't really decided yet, or I haven't rolled for it yet or anything like that. But the idea of this guy is that he was someone for hire to fight within combat, not necessarily arenas and such, but people would hold gatherings and kind of pit their own mercenary against other houses' mercenaries. So it's kind of like a turf war dealt one, or what's the word, mediated by a fight. And Morgan has seen his fair share of fights against others. So his favorite sword is the long sword. And he also has a blowgun as well. So he has a bunch of really interesting abilities as the pit fighter. So for those that are not familiar, the pit fighter can effectively heal himself on a hit, and then also advantage on Constitution checks to resist like injury, poison, or extreme environments. So he's resilient and can heal himself. And then also, 3 times a day, if he makes a DC 18 con check, he can, if he's reduced to 0, he can go to 1 hit point. And incidentally, his con is 17, so his con is +3. His rolls for this was wild, really good, and then all of a sudden, charisma is at 5. Literally almost the worst that you can get. So I don't think that he's going to be a very good talker. He's not going to be, if he is, he's not going to be able to sway anybody. He definitely doesn't look like anyone who would know how to talk to anyone else. His language is definitely that of his leather armor, his shield, and his longsword. But he knows how to take the hits and get back up after he's been put down. So I wanted to play around with the pit fighter as my main focus, because I like the idea as a soloist that he has built-in abilities to help him, get back up. And spoilers for the previous campaign, especially episodes 6 and 7. So if you don't want to know what happened after that, you can come and watch those and come back. But anyway, spoilers for episodes 6 and 7 of my previous campaign. I wanted to find a character that could survive a little bit longer in combat. Even though his hit points is 11 right now, I feel that with his companion, which I'll go over in just a second, I feel like he might be able to withstand actual combat a little bit better than Torsen did. And so speaking of, we have a shaman wizard. So this is going to be my first time doing a straight up spellcaster that's not like a priest or anything. So this will be interesting. Tamara is a pretty good wizard. She accompanies Morgan, namely due to the fact that they are engaged. So I'm going to try something interesting. A lot of games that I play for myself and the ones that I see, the ones that I watch and I love watching, the impetus for characters to be together is that you just make them and they are together. I wanted to kind of challenge myself in creating a thread between the characters that was stronger than something that they just wanted to earn gold. So they are engaged. So they are betrothed to each other. And what that means going forward, I don't know. But so Tamara the Wizard is a scholar, and that was her background. So she knows much of ancient history and lore. So that most likely will probably come into play here. And as we have established, the kind of background threat of this whole region, the Perilous Badlands, is it's sort of under the thumb of a malevolent sorcerer by the name of Mervenevent the Malevolent, and don't know much about this particular individual, but that is something that Tamara might be able to tap into for gameplay stuff. So with both of them, I gave them extra torches and rations between the two of them. And again, as established on how I do torches for myself, is I utilize this is currently going, so I'm not going to tip it over. I use the actual hourglass for each episode that I do is generally about an hour. So regardless of if they go into the Shadowdark spaces, I will check off a torch every single episode. So it allows the resources to be used regardless of what happens. Because I could spend 35 minutes talking about things like I am now. I won't do that for this episode because this is just an introduction to who they are and where they are, and what they might be doing next. So the next thing that I wanted to go over was the spells that Tamara has. And Tamara has 3 spells that one makes sense. One spell makes sense. Protection from evil. I actually was in a creative slump, and I posted to the Shadowdark Discord and asked for some input. And apparently someone rolled 11 on the random table for starting spells, which I admit I forgot existed. And I'm going to remind all of you guys that as well. So there is a random starting kind of random character stuff. There is a random table for the priest spells and the wizard spells. And I believe these are all of their tier 1 spells. So yeah, and the wizard has like 12 of them. And I could have rolled on this if I was completely if I was completely honest. But I just completely forgot about this page. Because I don't normally roll for complete random characters for this particular game. Though sometimes I do like doing that. And so I picked Protection from Evil because the internet told me so. It's also a pretty good spell anyway. And then the next spell was Sleep. I picked Sleep because I also play 4 Against Darkness with a friend of mine. And my wizard in that game absolutely destroys minions with Sleep. The way it works in that game is the number of sort of your level plus the die roll that you roll minus the level of the monsters. And whatever the difference is, that's how many minions you put to sleep. This one's a little more powerful because it's every living creature in the area of effect falls into a deep sleep if they are level 2 or less. So this is a what do you call it? This is a limited spell because it only works for level 2 or less creatures. But up until this point, Tamara has only needed this spell anyway. So, and I like the idea of kind of a, protection from evil is probably for herself or for her fiance, Morgan. So these are more, non-offensive spells. And then then her third spell is Detect Magic. I like this idea because in terms of storytelling and for solo play, it helps me sort of kind of ask the question, is there something magical somewhere? And detect magic allows that to be useful. So if you notice, there's no overtly offensive spells with the wizard. And of course, I did not use or pick the light spell. And that might come up into play, but I've decided that Tamra doesn't like the light spell. For whatever reason, she will carry torches. She carries extra rations because she doesn't like going hungry. Morgan carries the 2 torches and the 3 rations, so he's kind of normal in that fashion. He has the fairly standard crawling kit, but Tamra does not. She just carries her staff and a dagger and some caltrops. So that is her one sort of like defense thing, is she can drop some caltrops and maybe slow her pursuers down and run away. She speaks a hell of a lot of languages. Common, Sylvan, Reptilian, Giant, Draconic, and Primordial. I think I'm going to let the stories decide on how she knows these as they come up, or if they come up. And Morgan speaks Common and Orcish. My thinking of knowing Orcish is that he probably fought or was a brothers in arms with a few half-orcs in his fighting arena, background stuff. Have not decided why he is banished or for what reason, if it is true. I did pick their alignment. They're both neutral, and they also have different gods that they pray to. I mean, I also wanted to have them both be quasi-devout, or at least acknowledge their gods in their play. Mostly because I personally am not afraid of talking about or delving into the issues of religion and the like in a tabletop game. So that's fun for me to explore. So Geed for Morgan and Ord for Tamra. So I think these 2 neutral deities make sense for the characters. Another thing of note is that I might give them a magic item to begin the game with, or something else that would be a catalyst for something down the road. I would probably definitely say that it wouldn't be something that they would ever sell or utilize as XP. So I could put that limitation on it. But we will see. And what I wanted also to just kind of go over really quickly was, I just have my notes here, and this is my standard, book that I use for most of my games. I wanted to figure out a better note-taking system, only because this was the last. This is what was happening to my notes from the last Shadowdark campaign. And I'm just covering this up for spoilers if people have not seen it. But I'm a mess. Like, I can't read those half the time. This I can read, and I know it's small for people to read, but that's not what this is for. This is for me. And I do try to write notes after I record or even sometimes before. But I tend to like the natural flow of the game to feel natural. So I don't usually record on paper until after I'm done playing. If I'm playing off screen, so to speak, I definitely will. You'll record as I go. I do that with Vaesen. But so one interesting thing to bring it back to these two is that we're probably going to start the game within the town of Vorn, a chaotic village. And this is an interesting point, is that they are two neutral individuals in a village that is chaotic and the surrounding sands are unsafe. So I believe this village has that air of frontier, dune town, a village that either sprouted up because of an oasis of some sort, or because of a cave nearby, or something I haven't rolled for that or looked into that really, but something made this village stay here. And the leader is, and this is what's interesting, this is something that I did roll from the NPC tables in the book. Virile, a human adolescent, so a youngish human, chaotic as well. So, and has standard wealth. So this is a small, this is a village, and it has slums and a low district. So having standard wealth in this region probably is going to be pretty wealthy so far. So this Virile, who is muscular and sweaty but moves quickly, has a secret which might come up into play or not. But I envision him having already been a fighter of some sort, and maybe he fought his way into his position. Don't know. We will see. But there is a rumor that there's a warband of orcs that have taken over an abandoned keep nearby. So that is like a loose thread of something that might exist, either in one of these three hexes, most likely within this hex itself. So there's that kind of small regional rumor of something that's happening nearby. Whether my characters deal with those or not, we will see. But I also wanted to roll up a couple of other places. So I rolled up a poor tavern in the central slums called the Demon's Goblet. I love that, the Demon's Goblet. The barkeep, Hiltos, again another human adolescent, chaotic, standard wealth. So another person this is a person that is in charge of a building, so a person of power of some sort, in control of their, albeit small and poor, tavern house, but they have a standard wealth, so they must be getting a little more money than what the patrons are giving them. Muscular and vain, so probably someone who takes good care of themselves, but definitely looks like someone you definitely don't want to mess with. And moves slowly. So kind of the opposite. So he's vain and moves slowly. Something tells me he might have a limp, or he might have something that prevents him from moving as quickly as he maybe used to. But the thing is that he's an adolescent, so he's young as well. So what happened? We'll see. I don't know. Also has an interesting secret as well. And then I borrowed the terminology from, again, one of my favorite games, the Iron Sworn system, and I wanted to roll an inciting incident, something to jumpstart the 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 actions, so to speak, instead of just plopping the characters into the barn and twiddling their thumbs and seeing what happens. So once we start, we will know what to do and what questions to ask the Oracle, and stuff like that. The inciting incident that I rolled up, is I actually rolled on the something happens table, which is really a good table to use, for for solo players. If you, it's on page 118 of the core rulebook. These 2 pages, these are phenomenal. I mean, 50. It's like 52 options or something. Like, I can't remember how it divides, if there's a 0, and a 0, 1. But anyway, there's lots of there's lots of potential here for things to happen if you feel stuck while telling the story. You just roll on this table and something happens. You also 100% could very well use the tables for the areas that you're in, for sure. Of course you could. I find that these are very focused and make sense as your characters are wandering through. And this makes sense to keep rolling on this. This table, the something happens table, is really good to spark that that creativity to see what happens with your characters. And then you can skin it or use it verbatim however you wish. And again, I think I forget what the number was, but I did roll on that table and I got a I'm trying to find the an old woman points at you and yells, "There they are!" So that's what I had rolled for the something happens table. And I guess for this campaign I should call it something happens, but inciting incident, implies it's the thing that kickstarts the campaign. So an old woman points at Morgan and Tamra and yells, "There they are!" So I would start the game, and I'm not going to do that today. I apologize, but I just wanted to kind of share with everybody the overarching sort of, scene. We open up on a desert village that is a little lawless and run by, young adults, and is a bit of a chaotic mess, if you will. So that's what I have to start my the Perilous Badlands campaign 2 of my solo Shadowdark series. And again, I will be utilizing the solo Game Master's Guide for being my oracle, and kind of being my arbiter of decisions. And because I don't need a lot of the things here, I've been relying a lot on the roll tables from the core book itself, and the Starforged tables. Where are they? Here we go. The Ask the Oracle, the odds of something happening and rolling a D100, and on a match you envision an extreme result or twist. This is in here, but it's kind of the opposite direction. And I believe rolling under for a yes answer is a better in my head than rolling above, which is how OG Ironsworn actually has it right. So in the Ask the Oracle thing, this table is from Ironsworn, the original book itself, and it has things listed going the numbers or higher. And while that's perfectly valid and it's still the same percentage of odds, in my head, when you roll a D100, you want to get that number or lower, because it just, again, it makes sense to me, and I'm not very good at explaining why that makes sense. But so this table is what I was using, but I'm most likely going to just refer to this little cheat sheet card, and it'll be, you know, right there just off screen, along with, yes, I will put this difficulty class little cheat sheet thing as well right there, so I always know that I need to roll for my DCs before my characters do stuff. Yeah, so I will use this, you know, from time to time as well. And I am aware that there is a working sort of a playtest packet for Shadowdark that Kelsey Dion is working on. She's the author of Shadowdark. And while I would like to use it, because I am going to definitely acquire it when it is fully available, I don't feel like I want to use it as is, because she's actively working on it. So I will be a patient crawler, and I will wait until that comes out to be able to, you know, use it. I am definitely of that school. I would rather have something complete and printed out, or complete and shipped to me when it was ready. I've been waiting patiently for some books to come in the mail so I can actually get things to the table. But that's a video for a different time. But I think that is what I wanted to go over today, was the beginnings of the next Shadowdark solo campaign with Tamara the Shaman and Morgan the Underdog. Two engaged individuals trying to scrape by a living within a chaotic village of Vorn on the edge of the flaming sands within the Perilous Badlands. Let's hope that they are more successful together than the previous campaign. But I think that's all I have for y'all today. And until next time, folks, I'll see you on the flip side. Peace.